afternoon everybody, welcome to a bit of an update and a catch up with the ongoings of Webley Mark II. Sorry it's another yak at you video. I was going to go out but the weather has been terrible. Mild it has been for the time of year, but so much rain, so much wind. I was going to do a bit of an elaborate edit with a green screen and a backdrop video, but to be honest I don't think the laptop would take that. We have been out and about quite a bit, nothing too elaborate or adventurous, nothing certainly worth videoing or anything like that. No stories to tell really, but we have had a few additions. So what new bits have we had? Several, all from Hitchcock's I think. First up then, we've had a new wider foot for the side stand, which is very useful when you're green laning, off-roading and want to put the bike on the side stand. The trouble with this one, it's quite thick. It's a cast job with a stainless steel, I suppose you call it a plate, that actually makes it sort of form a sandwich on the original foot and thus doesn't come off. But it's quite thick. I've bought a new gear lever rubber. He was just wearing a little bit, so why not at the same time. And also, although it's from Hitchcock's, it's an Enfield Precision part. It's a new grill for the oil cooler. It's not quite the one I was after really. It's certainly better than the original, stronger. The original was okay, but this one is better and I won't be changing it even though it's not quite what I was after. So firstly, the wider foot for the side stand. As you can see here, it's quite a chunky piece, quite thick. And I have actually now removed it. It fits on quite well. I used a bit of Loctite on the threads just because, you know, it's a single and it, you know, going across rough ground. Occasionally, not very often, although that could mean potholes in Birmingham, I suppose. It was pretty easy to fit. Cleaned up the stand before I fitted it. Get rid of any rubbish that might have got trapped initially and put this on. It's just for Allen bolts. Stainless steel, little, it's not really a bracket, is it? Sort of a plate. And as you fit the plate itself and the top plate, that's a better word I suppose, the top plate, securing plate, it sandwiches on the foot that's already there on the original stand. Because it's quite thick, it sort of becomes a disadvantage. I don't know about the Euro 5 models, but models before Euro 5, the stand's a bit too long and it's a bit dicey. You have to be very careful when you put the bike on the side stand. I got a new stand from India for about 30 quid, and for another 30 quid including postage, I had a chap chop it down, cut about 8mm out I think it was, and re-weld it and spray it again for me. This is so thick, this plate, that it really gets rid of most of that advantage of having the stand cut down. What I was after really, although I couldn't get one locally, was a stainless steel plate, a thin plate. It's probably about 2mm, maybe 3mm stainless steel, which is, I think, fitted in a similar way, but costs a lot more. But it means I could still get most of the advantage having the side stand cut down. That's already been taken off. Next up is this Enfield Precision grill for the oil cooler. On the left is the new one, on the right the original. Very similar looking. Both are okay. The Enfield Precision one is better, it's stainless steel. The one on the right, the original, it's a little bit soft. It's only like, well, tin. And it's been fine, it hasn't rusted. The finish is pretty good. The problem with it, it's quite soft tin. So anything hitting it with a reasonable amount of force, and I've been lucky, nothing like that has happened, and maybe not damage the oil cooler, but certainly push the guard into the oil cooler so it may or may not damage it. And then maybe if it did push it into it the next time, if you was that unlucky, might damage it. So I wanted something with a little bit more robust, and this Enfield Precision one is very easy to fit, of course. Comes with stainless steel replacement bolts. I was after one that was a little bit more chunky, but the only ones I could get were like brushed sort of stainless steel, not black, and I don't need to stand out like a sore thumb. Sorry for this poor quality picture. It was taken at the spur of the moment really, in poor light. But this is both the top and bottom head race bearings. Yes, Webley Mark II has suffered with a common issue with Himalayans. Under warranty of course. I think it's about a 3-hour job because it's a bit of a pain to get the bottom one out. The top one is the one on the left of the picture. That's pretty good to be honest. It's the bottom one, it gets all the rubbish. I was hoping to fit some better quality ones, but I think a bit of communication got lost. The idea was that as long as Royal Enfield would pay for the labour, I would provide better bearings with a better seal. That didn't happen, so we've got original Royal Enfield bearings in, and we'll see how we get on with this set. The one on the left, as I say, is pretty good and could be used again, I dare say. That's the top one. It's the bottom one, which is the one in the centre and the right. As you can see, it's not in one piece anymore because they get quite bad, and the only way to remove it is by destroying the bearing. You can see it's rusty there. It is greased, but it's very, very rusty. Not very much grease, perhaps, and not very good grease. Brakes. Under warranty, this is a well-known recall. I don't know what the actual issue, it's something to do with salt and corrosion. All these little things I've been doing and any issues that have cropped up. It may seem like a lot, but this is a very condensed video. The time scale is quite wide. For example, most of the accessories were fitted in September 2021 and it's now February, back end of February 2022. So it's not as bad as perhaps it looks anyway. But the brakes, I already had the seals done, I forget when, possibly the back end of 2020. But that must have only been a stopgap because I've had new calipers fitted now, again under warranty. Got a letter out the blue, bit of a surprise, found up the dealer. Oh no, it's got to be done. Okay, fair enough, done. Now there was a potential issue, doesn't seem to have come to anything and it shouldn't now anyway, with the front brake. Bit of a squeak when you push the bike out the garage. And you grab hold of the front brake, get a good hard tug on it, release it and push the bike, and there was no problem pushing the bike, so perhaps we've caught it in time if it was an issue. But we've had chain and sprockets fitted. The original lasted about 8,000 miles. Whilst that was being done, Lee at Triumph Tech had a look at my front brake and there was no grease on any pins or anything like that, so that's all been done and it's fine now. As I said, recently we've had new chain and sprockets fitted in the last sort of couple of weeks. It's a DID VX O-ring chain and it is quality. And this is the new chain fitted, although it wasn't adjusted at the time, it's just been put on. I think it's Talon sprockets. It is a riveted link now because there was no split link included with the chain, which there usually is. Some time back somebody told me not to fit this sort of chain on a bike like this because of its low power. The type of chain, presumably with the, perhaps, I suppose this is sort of valid, with the elasticity I suppose in those O-rings, that elasticity, which must be so slight, but of course there's lots of links with O-rings, saps power. But then again, a cheaper chain that doesn't run as smoothly because the oil that you put in has no chance of being contained, and okay, that oil and lubrication or grease, whatever's used on the chain initially when it's built, may not last that long. But there's a better quality chain. It holds some lubrication in the most important areas of the chain. That far outweighs any issues with loss of power due to elasticity. Now, I suppose it's a feasible idea, but let me tell you, it hasn't proved to be the case. The original chain did last sort of 8,000 miles, and okay, it's a very low power bike, 24 brake horsepower, forget the torque. But this chain, it's riding smoother now than any time since new. And in a way, it's sort of, I suppose, didn't cost me anything because I bought it for Webley Mark I. I never got a chance to fit it because she got written off. Yeah, okay, it did cost me, but it feels like it didn't. Himalayans are buzzy at high speeds, 70 mile an hour. And I've recently had a motorway journey, not too far, but of course it means 70 mile an hour, 60 mile an hour. And although the balancer shaft on a Himalayan does move that vibration to the top, it doesn't get rid of it. So you're doing 70, it's a bit buzzy. I should also add though, I have had new cush drive rubbers fitted. I thought there was a bit of play there and I got them from somewhere down south because Hitchcock's hadn't got them. They were a bit lanky, the original ones. Those fitted and the new O-ring chain, it's smoother to ride than when it was new. I've already mentioned the well-known issues with battery drain of Himalayans. Yes, we should disconnect the battery, and I did in the end, but at the time I probably only left the battery connected for about 3 weeks and it was down to 4 volts. I still don't know what that is, but I've since found, and we're waiting for birthday to turn up, there's a cable with some gizmo on it, I don't know what it is, at Hitchcock's, that reduces the drain quite a bit. Anyway, we'll wait and see on that when birthday Santa hopefully makes it land on my lap sometime in about the next month. In the meantime, I've had a new battery fitted to my Land Rover Dirty Harry. The old battery would have probably gone another year, but it's still got some life in it, so I've been using that to bump start when necessary, which is only once at the moment. Webley, and I bought these sort of, I suppose, half size booster cables from Halfords, 10 quid, and they're pretty decent. We have been out and about. As I said, it has been mild, although the wind and the rain has been extensive, and that's an understatement in some parts of the country. The pictures have been for this year's Get Out There Challenge, which has started now on the 4Bike4 Travels Facebook page. That's live, where you go around answering the clues or just clicking the links to the Google Maps to take you to places to take pictures of your vehicle, be it a motorbike, Land Rover or Range Rover, or trike, or motorbike or sidecar, outside or alongside different telephone boxes. There are 22 of you to do, so you can have a look at that. It's in the announcement section right at the top of the page. We've also been out for our very first Ellie's Pork Pie of the year, and we've been out and about taking pictures for this year's Where's competition, which is held on the Facebook page, the 4Bike4 Travels Facebook page, where you have to guess where the presenters, in inverted commas, are. Now, it's not going to start yet because I've only got about 80 photos and I need about 120 more. Recently, very recently, in the last few days, I've managed to do the first draft of the route for another attempt at doing 1,000 miles in 24 hours. Now, right up to date, although I haven't got the deal finalised, I suppose, as yet. A few days ago, I popped over to the National Motorcycle Museum, and I haven't been for years. I do keep an eye on it. They've been struggling, of course, with COVID, and they haven't got any help from anybody but the supporters and the visitors. Anyway, I popped over, and I can't elaborate yet. As I say, the deal is not finalised as such, but all things being well, there could be a slight change to the channel and the Facebook page. A couple of hours were spent talking to the chaps there. I think we're all up to date now. Bye for now.